Okay. Alright, so slope-intercept form. Still dealing with slope, still dealing with Joe, still have positive lines, negative lines, undefined lines, and lines with a zero slope. Okay? Slope still is written rise over run. None of that's changed. They also call slope unit rate, or rate of change. Rate of change a lot of times. Okay. So here's what slope-intercept form. It's a particular form or way of always writing your equations. It says y equals mx plus b. And that may be weird for you if you've never seen that before. That is slope-intercept form. Okay? Equations can be written in slope-intercept form. You may have also heard the term standard form. Okay? That's also a different way that you could write equations. This one, your y variable, when written like this, your y is always going to be your dependent variable. Your x is going to be your independent. Your dependent and independent variables. The letter M, does anybody recognize what that's supposed to be, Brett? Yes. This, remember in that one weird formula it said M equals y2 minus y1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1? Well, M stands always for slope. And does anybody know what a B stands for? Yeah, B stands for your y-intercept. That's a weird word. Y-intercept. Is there any other way that you could describe what y-intercept is without saying y-intercept? That's an easier way for us to understand. Anybody?
Point on the y-axis.
Okay. It's the point on the y-axis where the line crosses the y-axis. Which one's the y-axis? The vertical, right? Here's your y-axis. I'm going to draw both of them. This is your x, and this is your y. So, the y-intercept is the point on the y-axis where the line crosses. Okay, it's the point on the y-axis where the line crosses. Alright, so for today, we're going to be doing a couple of things. First thing is, just can you recognize and can you describe the slope and the y-axis from an equation? So if this is your equation, if that's the equation, and it's already written in slope-intercept form for you, y equals mx plus b. In this case, it says minus b. Okay, it can say either or. All right, which number up here represents your slope? 2/3. Okay, so this one right here, that is your slope. That's your m. If I write y equals mx plus b right above it, you can very easily see the m is 2/3. Okay, that's your slope. What does that mean? It means that Joe would rise 2 and run 3 to the right in order to get on the line. Okay, now what is the b? What type of 4 would the b? It would be negative, so be careful. You have to include the sign, because sometimes it'll be positive or negative. Okay, so -4, that's where it's going to cross on the y-axis. So if I'm looking at my y-axis, it's going to cross on a -4, which would be down here somewhere. Okay, that's where -4 on the y-axis would be. So for today, you're going to be given some problems that's written in slope-intercept form, and you just have to identify the m and the b. That's pretty easy. Okay, let's try another one where all you have to do is identify. Now it does get one step harder today, but not too much. Okay, let me write this one down here for you. Y equals -3/2x minus 1. And I want you to write for me the m and the b. What does m equal and what does b equal in that situation? Again, make sure you watch your signs. Include all your signs. And then I'll show you how it gets a step more difficult. What do we think the M is in that problem? Quickly, you could see that it's -3/2, -3/2. I don't include the X because the X is talking about my independent variable, okay? I just include the number. And then my B, where it crosses the Y-axis, is at -1. Very good. All right, now, here's where it gets a step more difficult. I'm going to write an equation that's not in slope-intercept form, so you have to fix it first, okay? And there will be some of these that you're going to have to fix. So let's say that it looks like this. This is standard form. X plus Y equals 6. Okay, so let's put a little star here, and let's just fix it. That way, whenever you look back in your notes, you're going to realize when it's written like this, we need to fix it. It needs to be Y equals mx plus b. So we need the Y to be isolated. Okay, we want to isolate the Y. We can write that whole word out there. We want to isolate the Y. Here's the Y in this situation. We want it to be by itself. So this goes back to working one-step equations just like we did earlier in the year. How do I get Y by itself when it says add X? You would subtract X. Good. So let's just subtract X. If you do it on one side, you have to do it on the other. So I have Y left on this side. Y equals, that's part of what I needed. Now, it says 6 minus an X. Which one do I need to be written first? My regular number, 6, or my X term? Which one needs to go first? We need it to be X. What kind of X is it? Negative X. And what kind of 6 is it? Positive or negative? It's a positive 6. Now does that look like Y equals mx plus b? Yeah, but there's no number in front of the X. What happens when you have no numbers? You put 1s. So you can put an invisible 1, or I'll put a little dot to dot 1. When there's no number in front of any letter, you can always put a 1 if you need it. So the slope in this situation is -1. The b, or the y-intercept, is positive 6. So we need to write that. The slope is -1. And the y-intercept, which we call letter b, is a positive 6. So on some of the problems, not only do you have to identify the slope and the y-intercept, but you have to fix them first. Let me give you another fixable problem. These are probably the more difficult ones just because you don't have to just look straight at it. You have to do some math here. Y minus 3x equals 5. Again, it's not in slope-intercept form. We need it to say y equals mx plus b. So we need to isolate the y term. So what do I need to do to both sides?
Add 3x.
Yeah, add 3x's to both sides. Now we can figure out which way we want to write these. Just a second. Y equals. You want your x term to come first, so that would be a positive 3x. And then plus your constant term, and it's a positive 5. So there's what it should be written at after you fix it. Now identify the m and identify the b. What's the slope of that problem? 3. And the y-intercept, it crosses at a positive 5. Make sure you include that sign, positive 5. Okay. So we'll practice these and see what we think. I've got a sheet that I wrote